Hello once again. I am back with another video, and this time it's something else. It's something else. I guess you could say that this is a video of me addressing controversy, and yes, there's going to be many of these in the future, so buckle up. So the controversy that I wanted to talk about this time around was one that actually kind of got pretty significant and was kind of unfortunate actually, which is the controversy around VTuber model prices. So I figured that we will actually sit down and talk about those today, because I feel like it's pretty important to clear the air a bit, especially considering who I believe started all this is not a good person in general. So, the question that I wanted to try and figure out was, who actually started this whole controversy? And I think I actually know who did it. This is a bit of a rough shot, so it's not a complete confirmation of who started this controversy, but I feel like I have a good pointer. So this whole controversy started when Tiger revealed their re-debut model, and he decided to have a very interesting caption on his tweet, which said, "This is what $9,000 looks like."
Oh my God!
That was a really bad tweet, by the way. I would not recommend making tweets like that, ever. That's just ridiculously bad on you. Bad. Awful. Then again, Tiger has much worse things attached to his name than just being a ridiculously stupid flexer. So, because we have to now talk about model prices, let's actually take a look at why, not why, what exactly people have been saying about VTuber models. And the answer to that one is actually quite straightforward. People believe that VTuber live 2D artists, or should I say live 2D content creators in general, since VTuber models come in two parts, the actual model art and the rigging. People are basically claiming that model artists in particular are actually overcharging on their work. I don't know if that's necessarily a fair assessment, because obviously live 2D model art is extremely complicated, and live 2D rigging is also extremely complicated. Like, creating live 2D works in general is not an easy task, and there's a reason why people do pay a lot of money to, let's say, acquire these live 2D works, because they're very complex, they take a long time to do, and yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. It's basically a project every time a live 2D model artist or rigger gets a commission. Now, obviously, I, as a mere commissioner, I'm not really entitled to talk about just how much of a pain uh, actually creating models is, which is why I decided that I'm actually going to bring on some more, how to put this, knowledgeable people. And so I decided to make a tweet a while ago to see if I could catch anybody willing to discuss this conversation with me. And so I would like to give a quick shout out to Crymsie and Reina for coming forward to discuss this with me. And so I will be now showing you what they have told me about the whole thing. Take note that because Reina was not comfortable using their voice, and so instead I'll be reading their answers for them. So I asked both of them the same questions, and the answers I got were very enlightening and pretty informative. So now I'm going to partially shut up and now get to letting them do the talking.
I do think it is based on one, your skill base. Like if someone spends a lot of time learning artwork, then that price is going to go up quite a bit. I also think it's a part of the way the community views them as well. Like if someone in the community thinks that the art is actually like really good, I think they're going to bump up their price a bit because it becomes more of like uh what's the word for it? It becomes more of like a unique item almost. I think it's okay. I think it's also based on how um you yourself want to set your prices. Like if you see other people who have like the same, I guess, kind of quality of artwork as you, and you see that their prices are higher, then I think it's kind of like a domino effect. Like everyone sees what everyone else is doing, and then they want to place their prices based on that too. If it takes a few weeks to get artwork done, or even like half of a week, I still think that it is good to put your prices a bit up because you're spending a lot of time drawing that artwork, right? It's definitely its own genre and definitely its own specialty.
I think the first one is definitely the skills. People are able to tell a good rig from a bad rig pretty easily, like a smooth one from a stiff one. Second will be how popular the rigger is. You know, if a lot of people want to get a rig from the same rigger, they obviously will and need to raise their price. Third will be complexity of the model art itself. A lot of people like to add accessories, toggles, and animations to their models, and it will crank up the model price. Fourth will be how long it takes to make a good rig. For me, I know I'm on the slower side, and there are a lot of faster riggers out there. But it usually takes me 2 to 6 weeks to finish a rig, depending on the complexity of the model. So if I have a rigging commission going on, I won't be able to overlap it with other bigger commissions. So rigging is part of my main source of income, and I need to eat and pay rent. Also, rigging is like customized work, and you know most of the things are more expensive when you do a customized order.
Well, there's two types. There's 2D and 3D. I specialize in 2D artwork. And a lot of it, like, to put it simply, is just knowing how to draw every item separately from itself. So, the legs would be a separate item, the clothing would be separate items, and then basically cutting them into bits so that they can work with each other. So, I think that's basically what is like the hard part of making a model is just everything is really tedious into making it work well for the rigger. Well, it can depend on the model because some people have really simplistic designs. Um, so if someone has a really detailed artwork, obviously there's going to be more layers to it. If someone has a really simple artwork, then the layers will be less. Like usually like my base would probably be like 100, 200 plus layers for like um a basic design.
Wow, well that's a lot.
Yeah, well, you gotta separate literally everything. So if like you have a hairpin, you gotta separate all the parts of that one hairpin, even though it's such a small item. Yeah, but what people why they want it like that is because you want a highly mobile model so that the rigger has as much freedom as they can have to make it look really good.
Model art and rigging are very, very tedious. For the model art, the workflow is unlike drawing normally. You need to separate all the layers as body parts. So instead of the normal line art, colors, and shading, the artists need to repeat the line art, colors, and shading for every single part and merge them at the end. It depends on the artist's style and way of drawing, but some artists will choose to draw out the whole model and cut the model into parts, and fill in the parts that are missing. But either way, they are all really tedious. Artists need to draw out even parts you don't see normally, like the back of the head or the inside of the shirt. And with every part having the front and the back all separated, it's normal for a model to have 200 plus layers they had to manage, like for eyes to be able to blink and have nice physics. You need at least 10 layers: eyelid, eyeliner, eyelashes, side eyeliner, eye white shadow, pupil, highlight, pupil details, and both lashes. And that is just for the eyes, a small part of the model. In order for the riggers to be able to find the parts, artists have to name all the layers and organize them. Once riggers get the model, they need to first set it up and organize the layers and the hierarchy of each part. The workflow I'm familiar with is set up the model, set up the toggle parts, start rigging eyes and mouth, then the head angles, the hardest part and the part that's easiest to tell how good a rigger is for me. If a rigger is able to make some insane head angles look good, they are professional. Then it goes body angles, physics, and animation. Being able to rig a model with pleasant looking angles takes a lot of time and patience, at least for me. Riggers need to move parts little by little, even though when people look at a rig and think it's moving a lot, they were built with small, subtle movements that only the riggers know that they are there. And since there are 200 plus parts of the model to work with, there are a lot of little movements that they need to do, and sometimes it gets very complicated. A lot of issues can happen during rigging, and it's usually up for the rigger to troubleshoot or use their creativity to solve the issues. Because most of the riggers are self-taught, and even though there are more resources out there when it comes to rigging, it's still impossible to find solutions that solve very specific issues.
For specifically model art, like live 2D, it's been a few years. I would say 2 or 3 years. But for drawing in general, I've been drawing digitally since 2013.
Very
But
impressive.
yeah. I actually started on DeviantArt
Oh wow.
and then moved over to Twitter and then have been kind of like slowly climbing ever since.
Okay, well, I think that's just about everything I need from you, so thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come and talk to me about this. I genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for letting me talk to you.
I've made my first model in October of 2020 and have been making them since. So, about 2 years. I've been doing digital art since I was 13, and I'm 27 currently, so that's 14 years. Now, others is too, Reina gave me a link to a tutorial on live 2D rigging. I will leave that link in the description. And there we go. And again, massive shout out to Crymsie and Reina for coming forward to discuss this with me, taking time out of their day to do so. So as you can probably now imagine, models are not easy to create, and there is absolutely a justifiable reason why people charge as much as they do for them. It's not easy work, and it's often, more often than not, demand that really messes with the prices. But obviously, again, people are largely entitled to set the prices how they want. Like, it's not up to us as the customers to dictate how they should charge their work. It's at the entire it is at the complete choice of the artist to price their own works, as it should be. And so, I hope that you have learned a thing or two today from this video, most importantly at just what actually goes into creating these kinds of models that you see here. And of course, why people charge as much as they do. It's not because they're trying to scam you, it's because it's hard, long work. Many, many days, even weeks or months of hard work each day to create the models that we take for granted. And so, just like that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time with an interview. Signing off.